Hi, I'm Joe Roth. At New Jersey Sharing Network, we're committed to saving and enhancing people's lives through organ and tissue donation and informing people about our life-saving mission. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Veris NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Englewood Hospital and Medical Center, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, New Jersey Sharing Network, dedicated to saving lives through organ and tissue donation, the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, Fedway Associates, and by Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. And by Meadowlands Regional Chamber, building essential connections that drive business growth.
Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. I can do that. Coming to you from the NJTV studio, the Agnes Veris NJTV studio. It is our honor, our distinct honor, to represent the Lieutenant Governor of the great state of New Jersey, the Honorable Sheila Oliver. Good to see you.
Always good to be with you.
This is not really your hometown per se, but you've represented this area for a while. You know Essex County well. You make the transition to the Murphy administration as the top person in administration with the governor, and you're running the Department of Community Affairs. What is the job like?
You know, interestingly, when I look at all the things I've done through my career, I've often said I can sit in any chair and do any job. So, you know, from running a nonprofit, the Leaguers, for many years, working in the Essex County administration, I did a variety of different jobs. So transferring all that knowledge and experience to Trenton serves me well, because many people, career people in Trenton, they've been in one department doing one job. I am bringing a broad perspective of statewide problem solving to my job as Commissioner of Community Affairs and as Lieutenant Governor. Having the opportunity to have been in the legislature for 14 years
That's right.
and having been Speaker of the Assembly brings me a whole, as Governor Christie used to say, toolkit.
That's right.
That is really enabling me to not just do my own job, but to help a lot of the people that I work with in the administration.
Lieutenant Governor, if you were to describe the top two issues that you are most concerned about as Lieutenant Governor in this administration, what would they be?
It is economic growth for this state, and it is affordability in this state.
Define affordability.
Affordability, the ability of a family to live that dream of home ownership, sending their kids to college, being able to take vacations every now and then, and to live in a safe community with amenities. That is something that I think every family, no matter what county they come from, what community, that's what everybody wants.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about affordability, and I know that you're particularly interested in prenatal care and early child care. We happen to be doing a series to disclose called Right from the Start NJ that deals with toddlers and infants and prenatal care and state reimbursement for child care, et cetera, et cetera. Where does that fit into the agenda from your point of view? Those first few years, say birth to 3, is there a place?
If we do not, in New Jersey, first of all, expand access to pre-K education and infant care.
Yeah, not just pre-K 4 and 5, but 0, 1, 2, 3.
And if we look at women's return and participation in the workforce, the one thing around the affordability issue is women being able to return to the workforce and be confident that their child 0 to 3 is in a safe place, being cared for properly, and getting early education. And I think if you look at some European countries, Scandinavian countries, they are way ahead of us on this issue of supporting families and women with their early
We're playing catch up.
We're playing catch up.
By the way, I think you saw our web. Jackie, was the website up, the Right from the Start NJ website? If you want to find out more information about that site, can we keep talking about money?
Absolutely.
Not that there's a lot of it in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
School funding. There was a school funding formula passed in 2008, if I'm not mistaken,
yes,
in the Corazon administration. We had so many people coming on to the state of affairs saying, the state is not putting enough money into the school districts that the formula said they should put there. I don't mean just urban, I'm talking about suburban, rural districts. Is that a legitimate argument?
It is.
What's the problem?
It is a legitimate argument.
Is it just not enough money?
Well, it has to do with prioritization and what we have prioritized since 2008. I think, the whole issue now of how we've passed a law mandating us to make mandatory payments into the pension fund, which we turned our heads and ignored for many, many years. There are some people in Trenton that say we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. But, it is unfair, and there are communities in this state that get virtually little help in terms of
Do they have
state aid.
legitimate beef?
Yes, they do.
I don't want to get to too many towns. They point to Jersey City, a booming real estate market. Hoboken, a lot of money in that town. They say, wait a minute, they're getting way more state funding than they should, and some other communities getting the shaft, and they don't have the facilities they have.
It's unfair, and I represented Montclair for 14 years.
My hometown.
Yes, Montclair gets virtually no state aid.
With a massive desegregation program, with a big transportation program that gets kids back and forth.
That's right, and that drives up the property taxes in the town.
I think I know.
There are what I consider to be working class families in Montclair that I represented who are paying $25,000, $26,000, $27,000 a year in property taxes. And that is because they're funding the local school system.
Real quick, can we afford, as Governor Murphy said, free community college, 2-year colleges? Can we afford it?
I believe that if we find a way to do that, and we do it, fastidiously, we can't do it all at once. What we will do is we will create broader opportunities for people to earn more money over the course of their lives.
Doable. Let me try this. Shift gears. This is, in fact, the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. You are receiving the Dr. Martin Luther King Leadership Award at the annual Stand and Deliver not-for-profit initiative we have, Night of Eloquence, that's coming up. The legacy of Dr. King as a leader, as a man, as an American, as someone who did things that no one else could imagine. What does it mean to you?
Prophetic. King was prophetic. He was before his time. The fact that we can go back and revisit his writings, his speeches, the things he tried to do organizationally all around the country, it means a lot. And you know what? This country has been waiting for a new Dr. King. And we have not seen the emergence of the type of leadership that he had. And to think that this man only lived for 39 years.
Sheila, excuse me for calling you Sheila,
Sure.
Lieutenant Governor, in the minute that we have left, I've known you a long time.
Yes.
We grew up in the same county and rough and tumble politics. Politics, I don't mean it's government service for you is in fact very personal. I saw you recently on a Facebook post receiving an award in Essex County. It's very personal. A minute left. Why is it so personal for you?
Because what drove me into public service was a disdain for injustice. And early on, I realized government could be a vehicle to eradicate injustice.
You knew that?
I knew that as a kid.
But how did you know that you had a responsibility to do something about it?
Because I had great teachers in the Newark public school system. I was always in honors English and literacy, and I read some of the greatest books ever written that focused in on this issue. Tale of Two Cities.
That's right.
Grapes of Wrath.
Right.
They're centuries-old concepts, and they're relevant today.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We're honored by your presence. State of Affairs will be right back, right after this.
To see more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at stateofaffairsnj.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
Welcome, I'll get this out, former Governor Jim McGreevey, who is now the chairman of the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. Good to see you, Jim.
Hey, good to be with you, Stephen.
You have talked to us many times, not about your legacy as governor, but frankly, something right now that is much more important. And that is, as chairman of the New Jersey Reentry Corporation, describe the organization and who you serve every day.
Sure. I mean, the organization is dedicated to those persons returning from state prisons and from county jails, from drug court, from federal prisons that are coming back home. And the reality is in the state of New Jersey that we have 10,000 persons coming back from state prison. We have upwards of almost 40,000 coming back from county jails. And so we serve all of those persons that are coming back to their community. And for many of them, Stephen, as you well know, that are maxing out of prison, I mean, they're coming back with their shirt on their back, and that's it. I mean, they don't have housing, they don't have addiction treatment, they don't have health care, they don't have a job.
Sometimes they're homeless.
Yeah, and so that's, you know, our responsibility. Our responsibility is to serve, as it says in, you know, the Bible, is to serve the least of these. I mean, they're poor, whether they're white, brown, or black, they're poor. Many of them are addicted, and they're challenged. You know, if you're in prison for 5 years, you're in prison for 10 years, think of what it is to come home and not have an identification card, not to have health care.
Jim, give me some numbers. What does it cost, average annual cost, to have someone in prison?
The average cost in the state of New Jersey is approaching $55,000 a year.
Each prisoner?
Each prisoner.
What does it cost?
$55,000 a year.
For you and your colleagues. And we're not going to turn this into a commercial spot for your folks,
no,
but the numbers are what they are. What does it cost?
Yeah, the numbers are less than $2,200 per person.
To do what?
To do what? To connect them to housing, addiction treatment, health care, employment and training, and legal services to clean up the legal wreckage of their life so that they can get a license, so that they can qualify for many of these programs. And so it's for us, Stephen, you know, candidly, you know, under the last administration,
the Christie
administration, you know, developed a great relationship. The governor and I used to joke, we agree with one thing in common.
This was it.
And I said, Governor, that's more than enough. But it's understanding that unless we're going to continue to build prisons and prisons and prisons, we have to, at some point in time, recognize people are coming home and giving them an opportunity.
So the reason this is an issue, folks, just so everyone understands this, we're taping on April the 10th. You'll see the chyron up on the screen that says it. There's a battle that goes on every year around the state budget. The budget has to be agreed to by the governor and the legislature by the last day of June, midnight. As we do this program, in fact, watching NJTV News last night, there was a big story. They've been covering this on a regular basis. You testified before a legislative committee on the need to put, I believe, $5 million into the state budget to support the work that you and your colleagues are doing. As we speak right now, and we don't know if it's going to change, it is not in the Governor Murphy's proposed budget. Do you know why? No.
Candidly, no, I don't.
And by the way, we're going to ask the Murphy administration what their explanation is for this, just to make sure we have some balance here. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just, you know, Governor Murphy.
Because he supports efforts to fight recidivism. He supports efforts and opioid and drug addicted folks who are committing crime. So I'm not sure what's going on here.
You know, and that makes two of us. I think it could be a matter of an unfortunate mistake. It could be a matter of a bad decision. I know I make them every day. I want to get back to a good place. I want to get back. I mean, Senate President Sweeney, Speaker Coughlin have been clear and have been unequivocal in their support, and I'm so grateful. This should not be, it shouldn't be, certainly it shouldn't be a Democratic issue, it shouldn't be a Republican issue. I mean, this is about helping people help themselves so they don't return to prison.
Jim, what happens if, look, someone might say you're a private organization. We're a private organization. All of our money doesn't come from government. We're out there funding, raising private dollars. Your operation is different because?
Our operation is different because the people we serve have been locked up, sometimes for long periods of time, justifiably, by the state of New Jersey, and particularly if they're max outs, they walk out with no services, no benefits, and they're going to recidivate.
And what happened? Okay, say that's the last
They're
part.
going to recidivate. Stephen, they have to, you know, this was the classic for me when I was in seminary. I was up in Harlem, and I was working at a reentry program, and I was like, I get it. People need to eat every day. People need to find a place to sleep. People need to earn money. People need to love, and people need to have a function of purpose.
And when they don't have that?
And when they don't have that, we're going to do, let me speak for me, I would do what they would do. They go out and use drugs, they go out and sell drugs, they go back to the same corner. Yeah, you go back, you're running and you're gunning and you're doping because you don't have any other options. When I see employers and they say, Jim, we got to have a process, I said, my guy's got to eat tonight. So what happens is, you have to understand, like, you know, it's either going to be Penn Station, or it's going to be like sleeping in parks, or it's going to be a needle in the arm with hepatitis C and all those problems, or we're going to get real. I mean, Stephen, the reality is, why are we willing to spend? You know, I was just testifying for a bill the other day for Senator Cunningham, and we're talking about
Senator Cunningham from Jersey City.
Yes.
You got a minute left, Jim. Go ahead.
Okay, and you know, we're fighting to help people get training, and I was like, you know, if we were building another prison, everybody'd say, okay, game in. But now here we're talking about training, we're talking about doing alternate things. I think we're going to get there. I'm confident.
Get there meaning some agreement with the governor and the legislature for funding
of our reentry program.
You believe that?
Yes.
You're a person of faith.
I'm a person of deep faith. I have my mother lighting candles in overdrive.
She's doing novenas?
Oh, like my mother, exactly.
Is an Irish novena, Catholic novena, different than Italian, Roman Catholic? Let's not go there.
Exactly.
They still work.
They still work.
Listen, we're going to promise. I know that our colleagues at NJTV News are following this on a regular basis.
And I want to thank NJTV News because this is like, our clients don't have a lobbyist. Our clients have, I mean, this is it.
Well, it's an issue that isn't just about those folks who are looking for a second chance. It's about all of us who want them and need for them to do well because they do not.
And their children. It's about their families. We talk about education. There's nothing better for a kid than have a father who's sitting there working with a child. There's nothing better for a community. If we don't reunify families, that kid doesn't have a shot.
Jim McGreevey, former governor, but right now, frankly, more importantly, the chairman of the New Jersey Reentry Corporation. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Stephen. God bless.
Stay there. Same to you. We'll be right back right after this.
To see more State of Affairs with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at stateofaffairsnj.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD. And follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We are pleased to welcome Assemblyman John DiMaio from the 23rd Legislative District Republican. He is the Assembly Budget Officer. Good to see you, Assemblyman.
Steve, thanks for having me.
Describe your district geographically.
Well, I represent 2/3 of Warren County, about 1/3 of Hunterdon, and a smaller portion, 70-some thousand in Somerset.
Tons of Democrats, huh?
Well, there's enough. I have a lot of Democratic friends in some of my neighborhoods up there.
Well, let's just say this. You've represented your folks well, but we're not having you because of the district you represent. You are the chief point person when it comes to fiscal issues on the Republican side. I heard you on NJTV News, where we get much of our information. I heard you saying this budget that Governor Murphy has proposed is not good for the state of New Jersey, particularly because of the tax proposals, specifically around taxing millionaires. Make the case.
Well, listen, first of all, $2.7 billion in spending is twice what the entire budget went up during the Christie administration.
You mean an increase in the budget?
An increase in budget in 1 year versus the 8 years of the previous governor. That's aggressive. $1.7 billion in tax increases is also aggressive. And listen, when we raise taxes on higher income earners, people like David Tepper leave.
David Tepper, a billionaire who is, excuse me, a philanthropist who's given a lot to others, left.
Well, he went to Florida. He claimed it was for better weather.
How about no taxes there?
Well,
no income tax.
No income taxes at all. And that was north of $100 million. Sometimes I hear stories maybe closer to $200 million
You mean what we lost?
a year that we lost.
Right.
And that has to be made up by the rest of us, meaning all the way down through the income tax scale. So, you know, it sounds great to tax millionaires, but the reality is we like to keep our higher income earners here because they pay the greater share of the state income tax, the gross income tax.
Sure. By the way, excuse my allergies. It is allergy season, my voice. But here's the much bigger issue. Some people say in order to fully fund the public schools, based on the formula that was passed, in order to get the pension situation under control, the public employee pension situation, which is grossly underfunded at $80 billion unfunded liability, in order to do the things the governor wants to do, you need to raise taxes on those who have the most. Sounds like a logical argument to many. Why is it not to you?
It sounds like an easy argument. But where I represent is right across from Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Why is that relevant?
Well, people can drive 5 more miles to go to work and live over there.
What's the tax rate there?
3%, 3.07, I think.
On the income tax?
On income tax.
And ours is?
8.97 now at the highest levels.
And proposed to go higher?
10 3/4.
So you're saying the move to Bucks County, the move to Pennsylvania is too easy for too many?
Of course it is. Even New York State's highest income tax is right like 8.88. It undercuts us a bit on people making more than $500,000. So, I mean, we have to be competitive in the marketplace in all of our tax throughout the state of New Jersey. Not to mention that 0.3% of the sales tax doesn't sound like much, but it's $500 million, Steve.
Oh, yeah, wait a minute. Hold on.
I
Again, NJTV News did a story on the day the governor had the budget address, and you and some of your colleagues were bashing the tweak. I mean, respectfully, Assemblyman, that's a small. What is the increase that he proposed in the sales tax?
0.3%, but that was part of the deal that the previous governor made with the Democrats in the majority to get the gas
For the
tax,
estate tax?
the gas tax through.
Oh, the gas tax.
So that the lower income people wouldn't be hit as bad. So, I mean, listen, we have somewhere around $900 to $1 billion of money that will come in organically as an increase or some revenue that will go up naturally. Why can't we try and live within our means? I mean, we're adding things to the budget like $50 billion more for college, free college right now.
No, free community college.
Free community college, I'm sorry, correct. $57 million for preschool. Now listen, that sounds great.
Okay, so
sounds
what about
great.
for all the kids who can't afford the quality pre-K that our kids had, that our family had, because we're blessed financially to be able to do that? You're not saying you're against that. Governor Murphy's saying let's do it.
I'm just saying that money better spent within the formula aid for K through 12 schools that are underfunded now.
What about an earlier start for those kids?
Listen, it sounds great, but what happens down the road? Should we create new programs? This is part of the problem what's happened in government. We're like a mile wide in services and an inch deep on performance. We try to do everything for everybody. The reality is, Steve, we need to live within our means. I was taught you don't buy new stuff if you can't pay for what you got. My father's an old school Italian. Probably your father's a little like that, I imagine.
Our families can relate.
And you know, the reality is we're not properly funding the school formula. We didn't properly apply the SFRA under the previous administration, which I had a great deal of discussion with.
That acronym stands for?
School funding.
Yeah, so that meant, I guess it's 2008 under the Corzine administration.
Correct.
It was said that we needed to change the school funding formula, and certain communities, by the way, there are certain suburban communities, respectfully, Assemblyman, that are getting the shaft because the formula says this is what they should be getting. They're not getting anywhere near that.
Well, there were some mistakes made by the previous administration. And listen.
You mean the Christie administration?
The Christie administration.
Okay.
Yes, and I told the Commissioner of Education 2 years ago, Hespy, that they were wrong not to run the formula and start to make adjustments as the plan indicated. Now we're in such a train wreck with the school funding formula. This is the #1 issue.
You say deal with that before you deal with anything else?
Correct. We should fund it to the best extent we can. And we're putting money in new places that it doesn't sound like a bad thing. It's a good thing. But the reality is we can't keep expanding programs because we haven't mentioned this lately. We've been
30 seconds, go ahead.
We've been in an improving economy over the last 6 years, let's say. What happens when we have that dip in the economy and we've added these new programs? Do we yank the rug or raise everybody's taxes?
You know, quick on tax policy. You okay with the president's tax policies and how they hurt New Jersey? Some people say on our inability to deduct our state and local taxes. 10 seconds, go.
Don't know if they're really going to hurt us because we may see money off of our income tax to cover that.
We'll have you back. Talk about that and more after the budget is struck in New Jersey on July 1st.
A lot of work to do. Thank you.
Assemblyman John DiMaio, Assembly Budget Officer from the 23rd District. Thank you.
Super.
Come back again.
I'd love to.
Check us out, State of Affairs, next time from NJTV News Studio right here in Newark.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Veris NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by the New Jersey Education Association, Englewood Hospital and Medical Center, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, New Jersey Sharing Network, the Turrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, Fedway Associates, Guarini Institute for Government and Leadership at St. Peter's University, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State.
I could feel my lungs fill with oxygen, and I got my life back.
The Sharing Network means to me hope, life, and everything.
The Sharing Network was a lifeline to me when I really needed it.
We are an organ procurement organization.
The core purpose of the New Jersey Sharing Network is to save and enhance lives.
To honor those who gave.
Pay tribute to those who received.
Offer hope to those who continue to wait.
And remember the lives lost while waiting.
For the gift of life.